So now we've moved. One of the
Now,
last things we're going to talk about. We're halfway through.
halfway through, that's right.
Evaluation. A super important thing. Once again, like money, people don't like to talk about it too much, but it's really, really important that everyone goes through this whole process and understands why it's important, which you will talk a little bit more about here.
Yes, staff evaluation is key, and sometimes people think staff evaluation is a negative thing, and it does not have to be, Fernando.
Absolutely. It's actually a positive
it is actually a positive thing, and this is the opportunity to give your employee constructive feedback, both in a positive way and the things that need to be improved, but ultimately, this is a chance for you and your employee to stop everything for a moment and take a chance, opportunity to take a moment to see how we're doing.
Right. The flip side of that is that it's also a good opportunity for your staff to give you feedback too, because it's an open conversation, right? This is not just a one-way conversation that you're having. You're talking to that person. You're both looking at things that have been done well, things that can be improved from both ends. It's not just staff member, right?
And you know what? Don't be scared of that.
Yep.
People get scared that they're going to tell you something,
Yes,
and want something to be changed, or they're not happy with something. Right off the bat, you need to be an employer that hears and listens. And if you've got the ability to respond right away, great. But you actually don't have to respond right away, Fernando. You need to listen to their concerns and really let them know that they've been heard. And you can come back at another point to try and figure out the solutions.
Right.
So if you're doing these evaluations by yourself, that is an important pause button to always remember you have. Is to say, okay, well, thank you for letting me know that. I'm going to get back to you about, what we may or may not do.
Right.
Because it is may or may not do, right? I mean, they may want to raise, and you may not be in a position to do that.
Absolutely.
But quite often it's more about, you're getting me to do a task, that I'm not comfortable with, perhaps, or that I don't want to do, or maybe it's another staff person that isn't pulling their weight and they want you to do something about it. All information is important information. It may be the way you communicated with them one morning, right? Maybe you snapped. You may have snapped at them,
right?
And now they're feeling that they're not being appreciated.
Because he
and
told
boy,
them
that's an important point, guys.
He told them you were not a morning person, and they came in there
and they started talking, and he said, "Shut up," and their feelings got hurt, right? And you know what? Most things that are more of the negative stuff that comes out, a lot of misunderstanding, communication stuff, right? And feelings, right? Because we're both human. And please remember, the employees are human. They're not your slave. They are somebody that's coming there to help you perform a task. And I know you're kind of going, of course they're not our slave and stuff. But I tell you, I've seen so many times people not get treated very well at times. And sometimes people just don't notice they're doing it. So this is an opportunity to listen to the employee and determine, do they have, are they onto something? And yes, there needs to be something to fix. Or, you know what, this is just not an appropriate thing to be asking me.
Yes.
Right? And that's something that you have to determine. So as we look through the evaluation part, each evaluation is really based on your support plan again.
Yes.
Really, right? We always go back to the support plan.
Right. Good point.
Because you're wanting to make sure that your needs are being met the way you were expecting them to be met. And then if you go back to your support plan, that will help you base your evaluation. So everybody's evaluation is a little bit different, but it also has a lot of the same components too.
Yes. Yep.
So, so determine job competency, that's really just, again, your support plan, how they doing on your care, how are they doing in regards to the housekeeping side, other kinds of things that you need them to do. That's kind of the job competency. Are they doing it the way you want them to do? This is a chance to really motivate the person to do better, right? So if they're not doing well, this is a chance to kind of help them be able to do better, right? Because most employees do want to impress their boss.
Have you had personal experience with this, that part of it, the whole motivation to do better?
Yeah. I think that the motivation to do better usually is being appreciated, right? Yes, there's money, and they're getting paid. But I would say a lot of people that come working in our field, it's not just about the money that they're doing the job. They're doing the job because they feel that they're actually helping somebody in their life, right? And I would say that is probably the majority of people that get into the field, that they want to be able to give back in some way, and they feel that working with a person with disability is doing that. You could look at that as a negative thing, but to me, I look at that as a positive thing. So, that whole appreciation component, because, I would say if somebody is only coming in for your 2-hour morning routine, doing the same shower every day, doing the same routine every day, if there's not something else there to kind of keep them motivated, and that's appreciation and stuff, those are just examples of something you can do to kind of keep them going, right? Recognizing accomplishments, really talking to them about something they did really well. If they helped you prepare a dinner or something for your family or something, to really kind of take a moment and say, you know what, my mom and dad, just felt so comfortable. You made them feel so good when we were here together. Or, they talk about how great the place looked. Whatever that accomplishment is. Maybe you had a health issue, and they helped you overcome that health issue. Acknowledge those things. These are great opportunities to do it, and it's not just in the moment, right? Because in the moment you can appreciate and stuff, which is an important thing to do. But when you do it again in a month's time, and you say, you did something really special about a month ago, the fact that you remembered it and took the time to tell them again, it really keeps them motivated to keep going.
I agree there, the next one there, you've talked time and time and time again about communication, and this is just another avenue for people to talk and to have an open conversation or open discussion. It doesn't have to be a super formal process. This can be done in a lot of different ways, right?
Absolutely, and I don't know if we talk about this later or not, but that communication between you and that staff person, find the right place to do it and just do it. Don't let things fester too long. Try and deal with it as soon as you can.
Definitely.
I mean, the evaluation is an opportunity to do it, deal with those things. But if you can do it earlier, do it.
Yeah. And the evaluation part is the next one. It's also important because it does identify areas of weakness. And areas of weakness generally are because of poor training or poor understanding. Right. So it's not necessarily that the person is not doing their job well. It just might be that they just don't know what they need to be doing, which is something that comes out in the job evaluation. So, and you as the employer, you have to also be able to be very clear on those sort of points.
And talking about it and saying this is, and you can take action in regards to saying, look, tomorrow or next week, I'm going to have someone come in and show you how to do it again.
Great point.
Right? That's the way to resolve it. Don't. Everyone's human. And when you tell them that they may not be doing something to the degree that you want them to, they're going to get defensive. That is a normal reaction.
Absolutely.
Some people are passive and will just sit there and listen and go, okay. But a lot of people will kind of go, but you didn't do this, or we didn't do that, or try and kind of go, I know that you're doing your best. I feel we can do even better. Let's try this approach, and you just try to get away from blaming. It's not a blame. Try not to blame. Try to get right to this is the problem. You're not the problem. The technique that's happening here is the problem, and we can make it better by using this different technique.
Oh, perfect. And the very last one we talked about, because it is an evaluation of sorts, it's also a good time to talk about some performance issues, because if you're having some, say, complex issues with your staff member, formal part of an evaluation is where you actually write all these sort of things down and you get to sign them afterwards. And this is where you can write some notes about some issues that you may have had over that particular month. And I'm going to use Paul's example about maybe they used the ban, without asking.
Yeah.
They thought it was just okay, even though you did discuss them. You went through that policy at the very beginning through the orientation, but they didn't listen to you, or maybe they were in a hurry or something. But you need to identify those sort of things and write them down and get them to sign off on it. It's really, really important, because a bit of this leads also into some of the other issues that we're going to talk about here later.
Yeah.
But let's move into a couple of points on.
Yeah, no, you're right. So creating your own is based really on, you can use ours a bit. In our manuals and stuff, there's some examples and stuff that you'll be able
and the
utilize.
IFRC.
And through IFRC as well.
When are you going to have those sort of, are they?
They're going to be up on our website in the next 2 months.
Perfect.
I would say.
Great.
We're right now under our website. We have the modules and stuff that we did in collaboration.
Yep.
I hope in the next month to have the videos and stuff that Fernando has awesomely put together, really, and we'll get that going in the next month, and then we'll have all these documents and stuff corresponding with that, I think.
It's ifrcsociety.org.
Yeah.
So that's the website right now,
Right. So, I really think this is next point is a good one. Evaluate all of your employees fairly and honestly. And you should do the evaluations in a similar approach. So that all the employees are evaluated the same.
Right.
Obviously the outcomes and stuff may be different for each of them, but having a open, honest conversation is the best approach for an evaluation, for sure.
The other one, is going way back to a point we made, be organized, and that's the whole thing about scheduling. So, which kind of leads me to my question: do you do this during work time, or do you do this during outside of work time?
Great question. It is done during work time.
Okay.
It is an employee evaluation. It's a work component.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
great, because it feeds right into that making time. It's a lot easier when you are working, but not just making time, it's also scheduling in advance so they know, so they can also prepare for it, right? Because part of this, the idea is that I'm not sure if you guys will have forms on the website also for the staff member also, because it should be for both.
Both. You're right. Actually, you're right.
Yeah.
To evaluate the employer as well.
Yeah, because you might as well get some good feedback on how to become a better boss.
And don't be shocked by what they have to say.
Definitely.
And
take it in stride.
Take it in stride. Absolutely,
yes.
Fernando.
Yeah. And you've mentioned that talked this quite a few times already about being positive and doing it in a way that is always constructive, right? Because you don't want to take the approach when you're doing an evaluation. It's not a negative thing, right? You want to use it in a positive way. But if you approach it from if you're angry or you're not feeling positive about the person, it's not the best time to be doing it. Don't do it then.
No.
Find a better time when you are feeling better and those sort of feelings of anger have subsided a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, because you want to do it in a way that's going to create improvements.
Yes.
You still need to get your point across, and you still want to, the last point was document. In the previous slide was document unsatisfactory performance.
Yes.
Right. This is the opportunity, and within that, you can actually outline how long you expect them to take to have that performance changed.
Good point.
Right. So,
yes.
So this is really important to have this, and be positive, but yet also be clear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we got we've already talked about the letting them know when the next evaluation is going to be. Let's talk about that for a moment.
Okay.
So when you first hire someone, remember everything is all new, and again, during those first couple of weeks, you may sound like a nag, but you need to be letting them know what you're liking and what you're not liking.
Yeah, good point.
You have to do it, Fernando, and you have 3 months to really kind of know if this employee is going to make it or not. Right? Because it's that 3 months that you can let them go without having any reason to let them go. Just you can let them go. So that is a time to see if you guys are going to connect, both in the workload that needs to be done and also in the personalities, right?
Right.
A lot of his personalities, Fernando.
Huge. Yeah.
Some people seemed in the interview be very calm and sweet, and then when they start working, a bit more aggressive.
Right.
And if they're more aggressive and you're not somebody who can handle aggressive behavior, ways, then this may be the opportunity to say this is not going to work. But it is really important to evaluate. So first of all, you're doing the verbal evaluation for the first couple of weeks. But I would say after about a month, sitting down and doing an actual evaluation of how things are going is a good idea. And then you're looking at about another month and a half from that. So 2.5 months in, you'd be doing your final evaluation, right?
Oh, gotcha, right.
And this final evaluation may be the time that you're letting them go.
Right.
Or maybe the time that you're going to go, I really like them, but they still got to keep working on something.
Right.
I'll keep them beyond, but they still need to work on stuff. But, use these evaluations as your opportunity to really kind of remind yourself, is this the right employee for me? Because those first 3 months is that chance to determine if they're going to work together.
Great points. And the very last one also, sign it. Make sure that both people sign it, because that's your proof also. But signing on the dotted line means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But we'll talk a little bit about this later, because it does have some ramifications on the legal side of it too. So
absolutely.
This is just one of the evaluation worksheets. It's a sample that's pulled from the workbook. It's available on our website and on my FRC website also. This is just only a portion of it. There's a lot of other questions that you can be looking at from the evaluation standpoint. And they have a matrix here. And a matrix is just a basic, super simple way of grading something. You choose if 5 is the best or 5 is the worst. And having something like a great scoring matrix is a really good way of doing things, because it gives you some flexibility as far as saying, good or bad. You're not using those terms. You're just using numbers. 5 being absolute best and 1 being needing work. And you can always, it gives you the flexibility of going from 1 to 5. 1 to 7 is actually a standard one that is used in a lot of different things. But
is that right? Yeah. 7 now?
Yeah. So it just check off the box. No writing in there. Pretty self-explanatory what the question is, and if there's a 1, needs work. If it's a 5, you praise and great job.
Yeah, and so you can take this and use it as a right off the bat, as something to use right away.
Mm-hmm.
It would be good to then have another section below that gets more into the comments of different things.
Yes.
More specific things that need to be improved.
Absolutely.
But this kind of gives you the snapshot overview. And if you've got a lot of 1s going down the side, I guess you got some work to do, right?
Some work to do.
And so this kind of is something that you could use even as a quick for yourself, right?
Yes.
Because if you're getting a lot of 1s down the sides for those, then you need to actually get some help a little bit, probably, to how you're going to deal with this employee.
Absolutely.
And maybe you're not going to be keeping them, right? Kind of thing.
Yep.
But you may be, but get some help.
Yeah, maybe their personality is great. It's just not working out for them, but you really want to give it a try, versus someone else who's just not fitting well, and you need to move into the next sort of stage, which is, what a segment was that?